there's the Béarnaise sauce, so that's a Hollandaise derivative for those who don't know. So Hollandaise, it's typically you separate the egg yolks from the whites. You make a gastrique where you reduce. It's usually vinegar, water, peppercorns, shallots. In this case, you typically put the stems of tarragon and chervil in the reduction itself. You reduce it down so it concentrates the flavor. You refresh it, add a little bit of water. You add that reduction, you strain out the other stuff. You add that to the egg yolks. You mix that over a water bath. Usually that's like the old school way. And then you pour in butter gradually. It creates an emulsion. And you just keep mixing it. And that's how you do that. And usually with this, you throw in chopped tarragon and chervil at the end, typically towards the end because it preserves the green color. If it sits in the sauce for a while, it'll turn brown. Doesn't look as nice. Tastes the same, but you're serving in a nice restaurant. You want it to look good. Yeah. And then Hollandaise, it's interesting. I found out someone suggested to me, I don't know why I thought of this, but for Easter, I actually made it in the blender, which makes sense because it's like all you have to do is you throw the eggs in the blender and then you just turn it on, put the butter in, and mixes it evenly. And it's like, it's minimal. It's like, well, at school, they teach you to do everything by hand because they want you to understand the technique. But as a matter of practical purpose, you can just do it in a blender. You can even do the hand mixer if you have those because it's more practical. It holds the emulsion better. It whips air into it, which gives it the nice texture. It's just better. Typically, too, they use clarified butter. I think that's the old school French way, but you can use whole butter as well. I've also seen brown butter hollandaise where you brown the butter so the milk solids sink to the bottom of the pan so the butter itself gets brown. It gets kind of this nutty flavor. You can make hollandaise with that, too. Not as common, but I've seen people do it. Steak frites is like one of the staples there. What kind of sucks now, though, they used to give you both the butter and the sauce. Now they have you pick one. I don't know if they're trying to save money or what the deal is. I usually get that, though. It's decent value. And then they have some other steaks, too, like filet and other things. A little pricier, but this is a good, standby.
All right.
Thoughts or comments?
That sounds to be one of the more, higher level that we have SS level sauce. We're talking about the maitre d' hotel butter here, the maitre d' butter. Because it's a maitre d' of the hotel, maitre d'hotel. So
like
master of the hotel. Master of the hotel is butter. Yeah, maitre d's butter. With this one, this is one of those things where these are the things. For me, one of the interest things that I have is this is the kind of thing where it's like, okay, if I'm aware that that's the process of making this, the chances of me ever making that at home are rather low, or I might do it once in my lifetime. So that's the kind of thing where if I'm there at a place and I'm like, okay, I'm getting a steak, you have hollandaise sauce, as Steven mentioned, you just throw that in a blender. It's like 2 ingredients. Versus this is the kind of situation where if you're aware of something like this, you say, okay, I must try this because the chances of you being able to make something anywhere close to that level or finding it to other places, now that's going to be higher. So that's the kind of thing where it's like, I think when you go to a restaurant and you spend big money on getting something like that, you're really getting the full value out of out of the skills of the people out there, out of the privilege or the time preference of having the situation where you sit there and somebody else cooks for you, rather than you being in there so you can come and spend those hours to make a small dish of thing that you're going to have in one steak. Okay, yeah, you can make it, as you mentioned, in a batch and then keep it and have it later. But some of these things, some foods are much better made fresh and you eat them in that time. Some things keep different ways. So this is just part of the knowledge about the foods that you consume, so you can be a more informed consumer, informed customer, and informed, not restaurateur. Restaurateur are the people who run the restaurants. What are the people that you know?
Restaurant patron.
Yeah, I guess.
Dining patron.
Yeah. We'll think of a different term. Yeah, more informed diner. We'll think of something. An eater? I don't know. We'll think of something. Maybe we'll come up with some term. But yeah, I think that's some interesting thing to have.
It's funny this with Hollandaise because one of my old bosses, he used to work at Tavern on the Green, and that's one of the staples in New York City. For those who don't know, it closed and it reopened. I guess he worked there when it was kind of in its heyday, and they do crazy volume. They feed thousands of people. He was telling me, I'm trying to remember if they started with 1,000 people a night or something, and that was just reservations. That doesn't include walk-ins, and of course reservations keep growing too. Yeah. It's he told me how he dreaded making hollandaise after this place because they had an eggs Benedict on the brunch menu, and he had to make a 20-gallon bucket worth of it. And the thing is, he had to do it. Remember, so one of the challenges with this, as I'm sort of describing, is that it's an emulsion. So the idea is you can't add the butter too quickly because if you do, it'll break the emulsion. The the water components and the fat components are supposed to combine. That's what holds it together. Lecithin in egg yolks is a natural emulsifier. Some people put mustard in because mustard's an emulsifier too. But he told me you had to do this by hand over a water bath, this huge like bowl, and he's like, if that thing broke, like God help you, you know. So he's like, after that, he's like, I never want to put hollandaise on a menu again. But like I say, I mean, now there's easier ways. Like now you could take the bucket, you could get one of these big. It's like not quite a hand mixer, but it's a similar thing but bigger, and you can just put it in the thing and then just push the thing. It's usually like this, and then pour the butter in so it's easier. You could do things like that, and then you have your 20 gallons of hollandaise for service. Yeah. But I've never made that much. I mean, I've made maybe like a small bowl's worth, but I've never done like that.
Cool. Thank you for listening. This has been a clip from an actual longer recording that I'll try to leave a link to on the screen or somewhere around here where you're listening to this.
Presents. 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 Presents.
Peasants.
Okay. Okay.